So part of, again, the EV reality check space, aside from the fact that we want to, reminisce about things we've done in our careers, is we get a chance to chat with, again, those folks who are making things happen in the industry. And this session, we're joined by Tony, and again, it's Tony Nisam. Is that, okay, Nisam, with Elcharge. So, Tony, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Jazzed to be here. Beautiful day. I got here early. Tried a bunch of one wheels, e-bikes, dirt bikes. It's.
And you have no bandages.
No,
well done.
I did fall off the one wheel, but I landed on my feet.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
No, but that's, again, what you spoke to, though, is, this is something that's like, I got here early and I had some fun. That's what Expo's all about. But amidst all that, what's going on behind the scenes? What is Elcharge up to that you guys are working on to make things happen?
Yeah, so thanks. Real quick background on myself. I just joined Elcharge 3 months ago, so still drinking from the fire hose. But previous to that, I was with Motive Power Systems, Motive Electric Trucks. So we were helping large national fleets electrify their fleets. We're talking FedEx and Amazon and Bimbo Bakeries, Pure Later up in Canada. And without exception, every one of those fleets that I just mentioned, they love their EVs. The drivers love them. The TCO pencils out. The customers love them. The communities love them. And their biggest obstacle to scaling is power.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, a little acronym throughout their TCO, total cost of ownership. And again, that's an important thing, whether you're, again, driving an EV privately or whether you're working for a business that decides to say, what's this electrification going to do for us? Oftentimes it's dollars and cents.
Yep.
But to your point, even if you can get the vehicles built and on the road and ready to go, a big part of that is how do we fuel them? How do we make it work for our needs? So what is that? I mean, again, you're saying that's the challenge. We've got a lot we still need to tackle with that, but the industry wouldn't be where it is today if it wasn't working a little, right?
100%. So they like the vehicles, whether it's passenger cars all the way up to Class 8 tractor trailers and everything in between. There are good quality vehicles available out there. And like we said, the total cost of ownership pencils out. The challenge is if you're replacing your gas or your diesel vehicles with electric, you have to figure out how to fuel them.
There you go. And we've been talking about this already a lot today. And it's a big part of that is not only the fact that you need to have access to it. In one of our sessions previously, I think it was Scott from Recurrent and a few others that we were talking to, David from Inductive Robotics, is the dwell time.
Yep.
It's about, okay, it's going to be sitting here, but do you need to overproduce for what you're filling up with? You've got to match that, especially on a commercial side, to the right deployment. Because if you don't, it can be wasted money. It can be wasted power.
And the conversation is different, too. Can you talk about the fact that the first thing you need to do is call your utility?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, definitely. And so people I think, are finally learning. That's why events like this are so useful for knowledge transfer and education, because at the beginning of the EV, especially commercial EV wave, people were like, well, I'll buy the vehicle, and then I'll figure out how to charge it.
Oops.
And, yeah, as we all know, that is a recipe for disaster. So I think the word has gotten out, and most commercial fleet managers and facility managers and operations managers and executives understand now that energy drives everything. And if you don't have your energy figured out, you're not going anywhere.
Well, yeah, and it really, again, on the scale we're talking about, too, if we're talking about anything from a school bus to a medium-duty vehicle, heavy-duty, that's not the same as filling up at home with, like a Model Y or an EV6. We're talking about big batteries, and you need to be then planning out what that looks like for that, like the power that is needed. So how does that, again, where does it start from your perspective? Is it really, are we educating the wrong way right now? Are we really needing to elevate that up on the funnel to make sure it's not just about the car and really more about fuel education? Is that really what it is?
I mean, I feel that we're at the point now that folks realize that EVs are here to stay. Maybe 5-10 years ago, people are like, oh, this is a fad. I'm just going to wait for it to go away.
Come on, Tony, there's a mandate. I keep hearing there's a mandate. Is that wrong?
And with or without a mandate, people are realizing that electric vehicles are better technology, more efficient, more reliable, less maintenance, right? And so EVs are here to stay. They're scaling. They're going to continue to scale with or without federal support. But what needs to scale with those electric fleets is the power to make them move.
What you mentioned, too, is that got to call your utility.
Yeah, you got to call your utility.
One.
And how does Elcharge help with that? Like, what is the secret sauce there?
Great question. So Elcharge is a bridge to power. What we do is when you run out of power and you call up PSE or Seattle City Light or whatever your utility is, and they're like, okay, yeah, we'll put you on the list and we'll get you that extra power you need in
2048 or something.
Yeah. So Elcharge is a solution, a bridge to power, basically a generator that charges a battery energy storage system, BESS, that drives a DC fast charger. And it's mobile, so we can have these deployed quickly and get fleets the power they need, when they need it, where they need it. And then once they are finally connected to the grid, then we go to the next spot.
What's the scale? I mean, what's a battery, like stationary storage here? How big are we talking?
So what we're building now, and again, this is a young company, we're building it's a 480 volt natural gas genset, so it can run on clean natural gas or cleaner renewable natural gas that charges a 62 kilowatt hour battery energy storage system, BESS, and then that drives a 180 kilowatt DC fast charger.
So it's coupling a lot. It's almost like it's a stationary storage plug-in hybrid type scenario. It's like you got a fuel that's kind of helping make the battery work, essentially, right?
You could almost think of it as a microgrid on wheels.
There you go.
I think that calling it the bridge to power is smart because you've got people who will be like, you're using natural gas to do this. But these big loads that are coming, like if they're going to use only the utility power, a lot of that's going to be carbon intensive. And as they work towards a more decarbonized power source, it does take time.
Yeah.
But speed is super important in getting these high loads up for EV charging. Data centers have the same problem times 100, but there has to be a bridge. And so I think that's important.
Yeah.
Where are you guys deploying right now? How did it start?
Yeah, great question. The biggest use cases that we've seen so far for electric rideshare fleets, like you guys all know that Uber Electric is now it used to be hybrid, and you wouldn't know what you were going to get, but if you order an Uber Electric, you're getting an EV. And they have learned that customers are willing to pay more for an electric ride.
Yeah.
Because as we all know, it's just a better ride. And so as these electric rideshare fleets are scaling all over the country, and now autonomous vehicles, you think about the Waymos, the Zooxes, the Tesla Robotaxi, et cetera, we are in a rapid disruption phase right now where we don't realize it because we don't have any in Seattle yet, but you go to Austin, you go to Las Vegas, you go to Miami, other places where autonomous vehicles are on the road, like they're scaling fast, and they're electric, and they need the power. And so that's where we're seeing a lot of demand is these companies don't have time to wait 2 or 3 years for infrastructure to be put in the ground. They need to be up and running.
So
tomorrow.
scale of deployment, if it's a city with autonomous and you guys are backstopping that, what's the scale? Like how many BESSes are out there essentially?
I mean, so our biggest deployment so far is right next to LAX in El Segundo, powering 300 Teslas in the Tower Mobility fleet. And so we have, 6 of our units there supporting 300 Teslas.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
There's also a drayage facility there. There's a Zeem port or outside the airport. And this is, the reason I bring it up is because where the airports are and where the trucks are and where the robo-taxis and the taxis are all clustered on utility circuits. So they all kind of go up to one substation, right? And that's super important to understand. They can get, it's a first come, first serve. Yeah. And I think this is part of the business model of L-Charge. Am I right about that? There's a problem there, right?
I'm glad you gave a shout out to Zeem because we're partnering with Zeem and all of these companies that are building charging hubs. It's a process. You acquire a site, you get permitting, you pave it, you do whatever work you need to do, you put your chargers in the ground. This takes, on average, 2 to 3 years. What we can do is we're like, hey, you acquired the site, why don't we deploy some trailers now? You can start charging electric vehicles now, generating revenue now, and accelerate the electrification.
I don't know anyone who's going to say no to that, honestly, because speed, especially if they have any debt that they have to service.
Yeah.
On that build, they're going to need cash flow.
Well, what we're talking about too is we've hit on it a lot today is that people will pay for convenience. I mean, they will. That doesn't matter if you're a private consumer, if you're a corporation. It's like, look, we've got a game plan of deployment, but your description is like, this could be 2 to 3 years. We're talking trenching. We're talking other things that have to happen to build this out so it can physically be there. But if they actually have access to that place that they know they need that service, and they have vehicles they need to service now, so effectively, it's a business model that's built into say we are the functional stopgap.
Yeah.
Right. And again, but to your point, this is not a micro lens; it's a macro lens. Yeah. This is happening in every single place where the grid is saying, how are we making sure that we can actually get siting done? But then in the time scales we're talking about of years, how can we make sure we're still serving the need in the moment?
Yeah, and there's so many interesting use cases that I'm still learning about. off-grid situations like agriculture, right? Like you have a farm, you can now buy electric tractors. How are you going to charge them? There's no power.
When I was at ABB, we got called by the mining industry. Like
Yeah.
they really wanted to do business with us, and we couldn't
Yeah.
because we couldn't service something that's a mile underground, first of all, and we couldn't get to the areas where they need to have the
Yeah.
infrastructure. And so while it was an attractive business proposition for the volume that you could generate over a 10 or 20 year life cycle, we just couldn't do it. And
Yeah.
so it seems like you've got a solution that could. And what it will do is it will accelerate the adoption of big vehicles going electric,
Yeah.
right? And decarbonizing another sector.
And then one other thing I'd like to give a shout out to is we're working with CalStart and the Smart Freight Center and the Z-Scale project, which is all about electrifying freight corridors. So, you know, we know that they don't have any here. I don't think there's any big Class 8 electric trucks, but they exist. And they are running routes, but they are dependent on infrastructure. And they have big batteries. They need a lot of power. And so, for example, like if Amazon wanted to run electric semis up and over Snoqualmie Pass to Spokane, there's no place to charge on that route. So those are what we call charging deserts. So we're working with all the shippers, the carriers, the OEMs to identify where are these charging deserts that if charging existed, these companies would run electric.
And also, we're talking about, too, in these deserts, if we're talking Class 8 vehicles, these are vehicles that have batteries that are 10 times the size of that Model S battery.
They will put in a megawatt plug.
Yeah,
like
literally.
They will want
yeah.
a megawatt of charging.
Yeah.
How big is a battery of a Tesla semi-truck or something from Freightliner? It's
we're
like
talking 700-800 kilowatt-hour batteries.
Yeah,
Huge.
which is massive. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
these are, but the beauty of this is that all that we're talking about too is the technology that exists today, it is functional. We're piecing together and we're creating a connecting of the dots type of approach. As battery technology continues to improve and we can increase energy density in batteries, that's where it not only impacts heavy duty and medium duty, but also light duty as well. This is where, again, like Lucid, they just had that announcement that they had a vehicle that went, what was it, like 750 miles on a charge or something like that?
Yeah, the Lucid, yeah.
It was crazy.
Very impressive.
And that's their existing tech.
Yeah.
And they have some of the best on the market. And then you look at how you can apply that forward. We're getting that place where if we can get to 6 or 7 miles per kilowatt hour, as we say in a battery, that starts to really change the conversation because you can start to distribute. Those deserts become a lot, not as again, lily padding, but you can expand the length that you need.
Yeah, and also in the news just last week, Tesla unveiled their new complete off-grid charging hub down in just
Lost
north
Hills.
of LA.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Fascinating, right? They build a solar farm, huge battery energy storage, and they have the ability to charge. I think they have over 100 different charge.
I think the 84 charges on first
Started
deployment,
with
but it's
84,
going to
it's
be
gonna
doubled.
scale.
Yeah.
And completely off-grid.
That's the beauty of it is we keep talking about it's all about energy and how we manage it, right? Even an example, people charging their phones here at the EV Reality Check booth, they're using Anchor batteries to charge their phones.
Yep.
That's a micro version of what we're talking about. And as you start to scale that out, the beauty of it is, and we talked about this earlier for battery technology, is this isn't one and done. Even what you're doing with your products is you guys are using that for high energy output and input, but over time you can take that exact same battery and again recycle it back into the market.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And battery tech is fascinating. I'm not an engineer, but I geek out on this stuff. When I was working at Motive, we started off with sodium nickel batteries.
Oh, whoa.
Old school batteries. Heavy, expensive, lose their state of charge the minute you unplug them and they start to cool off. And then we go to NMC and NCA, now lithium iron phosphate, now sodium ion.
Boron's being tested even as well.
Yeah.
All that tech is great.
Yeah, the tech is amazing, but also it's driving costs down. Like the price of batteries year over year over year. Like every time you think it couldn't get any cheaper, it just keeps getting cheaper.
Yep.
And so having battery energy storage is a no-brainer. As cheap as batteries are, it's a beautiful sunny day. Why aren't we capturing as much of this energy as we can in cheap batteries?
Yeah, I think the comments that have been made over the years, Musk has said it over the years, are just like, we got that reactor in the sky, why are we ignoring it, And we've talked about solar today too a lot with it. This is tech that has existed for decades. I think we've been so spoiled as a species for a century that we've had, okay, we found this thing in the ground and we can refine it and burn it. And frankly, it's kind of mindless. And we've been really spoiled with that. Behind the curtain, though.
What you have is a clash of business models and cultures. So now electric utilities are the fuel providers.
Yeah.
And they have a very specific business model. and it has never included transportation. So,
Oh, yeah.
so now, I'm going to geek out a little bit, but when you go down to Olympia or you go into the legislative halls, you have the Agriculture Committee is responsible for setting the prices on EV charging and how you can pay for it. And you've got the transportation people now have to converse with the electrification people.
Well,
and these are things that have not been done before, and it's taking a while.
But even amidst that chaos, look where we're sitting. Honestly.
Right. Yeah.
There's even for all the complexities and all the challenges, we still have seen this level of progress. Yeah.
And on the flip side, electric utilities love electric vehicles because electric utilities are in the business of selling electricity. So it's good for their business. And, this myth that the grid can't keep up with EVs, as we all know, data centers and AI and all that's growing faster and demanding more juice than EVs. EVs at the pace we're growing, utilities have no problem keeping up.
Utilities built out peak capacity for air conditioning in the 60s and 70s. Yeah. Now, imagine that those air conditioners had been controllable. We would not have had to build all this peak carbon-intensive power. Now we have this ability where the electric vehicles are controllable, you can manage the grid, and we can actually make it from, what is it today, 40% efficient, 50% efficient, to hopefully in the 90s, 80s, and 90s.
Well, and what we're really talking about is people want to set it and forget it. They want something that doesn't force them to have to think further than when they walk into a bedroom and hit the switch, they expect the light bulb to turn on. Yeah. When they turn down the AC, they expect it to get colder. Yeah. These are things that we've already had at our fingertips for decades, and all that we're talking about is kind of, again, behind the curtain, we're transitioning how a lot of that is managed, but we're also giving people more agency over how they manage and use energy. Yep. That is an education that is going to take some time because we've got a lot of generations that didn't have to worry about that, but up-and-coming generations, they're going to live it in a very tangible way.
Yeah. Well, a lot of it also comes down to just incentivizing the behavior that you want to see, right? So reward people that conserve energy at peak times.
Yeah, we talked to Seattle City Light about that, where when they start doing the time of use or these other efficiency things, the homeowner will reap a benefit, monetary benefit.
You give them the money, and you say, look, if you do X, Y, and Z, we will, again, reward you for that. That's where the conversation has to end, though, because the bottom line is it's got to work.
Yep.
And
well, with fleets and the large loads that L-Charge will serve, you have your fleet managers who, they live and breathe that all the time. They know that if they can electrify their vehicles, their total cost of ownership is going to go down. Yeah. It's going to be way more manageable. They're going to be, the cost of fuel goes way down. But it's getting the energy. Like I think you started off by saying that.
The confidence of owning an EV, whether it's for a fleet or for your own personal vehicle, it relies on the fuel. Mm-hmm. Without that, it's a decision that can be made that in promise is a cost savings benefit, but it still has to work for the need that you have for the vehicle.
100%. And this sounds a little snarky, but Amazon doesn't buy electric trucks to save the planet. They buy them because they're good for the bottom line.
Oh, really? I'm sorry. I think you're probably right about that. But to your point, though, we're moving from an ideological position around like something that is very important from an environmental perspective, tech perspective, that a lot of early adopters wanted to talk about. We're moving into a more practical approach of the actual benefits that have always kind of been behind the scenes, which is, you're going to save money. You're not going to worry about it as much. Yeah. And so, again, the corporations, at the end of the day, they're counting ones and zeros.
Yeah. I worked with some very conservative fleets out of like Cincinnati, Ohio, for example, who were very skeptical and anti-EV. And I had to make the business case to the CFO that you're going electric not to save the planet or hit ESG goals. You're going to do it because it's good for your business.
Cha-ching.
And then the environmental benefits and the good PR that you get, that's just icing on the cake.
Exactly. Very good. That's a great way to frame it. So kind of rounding things out, for those who want to learn more about L-Charge, you're drinking from the fire hose, you're fresh in the moment, but how do they find information about L-Charge?
Find me on LinkedIn. I'm a LinkedIn junkie, Tony Nisam. The company L-Charge, l-charge.net. Reach out. We got units ready to roll. We are ready to charge whatever needs to be charged.
How about Electrify Expo next year?
Ooh, well, yeah. Anchor, man, if Adam was sitting here, Anchor would be like, all right, we got to have a conversation now. Them fighting words. Well, so this has been the EV Reality Check Space powered by GreenCars.com. We've got Tony Nisam here from L-Charge. This discussion is really important because it really represents what is going on a grander scale for people to see that it's intimate to those who are shopping for EVs today, but on a wider scale as we're addressing this, not even just here locally in the Pacific Northwest, but across the country, the solutions you're building out are going to make it so that as we're facing challenges for time to get things to market, there are solutions to make that go even faster.
100%. People can't use the excuse that there's no power. The power is there. We're not the only company doing this. There are power solutions to electrify whatever it is you want to electrify. So, Matt and Dan, thank you so much. Been a real honor
you, Tony.
being a part of this conversation.